If you can avoid these 5 mistakes, you are going to have a much better time learning Spanish. It's going to be easier, you're going to speak confidently faster, and you are overall going to enjoy yourself more. The first mistake that I see a lot of people make is not paying enough attention to pronunciation at the start. A lot of us get started with Spanish and we learn the vowels. We learn that they are a, e, I, o, u. We learn that the R is rolled. We learn that the double L sounds like a Y. And we pretty much stop there. But there's a lot more to pronunciation in Spanish than those sounds and then individual letters in general. You know, the intonation that you speak with has a huge impact on the way that you sound. The way that you connect words together has a huge impact on your pronunciation, on the way that you sound. And beyond those common letters like R, for example, a lot of Spanish learners neglect or don't quite notice the pretty big difference in the way that, for example, T's and L's are pronounced in Spanish versus English. Take tomato and tomate, lemon, and limon, lemon, limon. These are relatively low-hanging fruit, meaning they are very achievable sounds for us as English speakers, but most people just don't notice it at the beginning. And so they build habits that make them sound more like English speakers and less like Spanish speakers. Putting some focused effort towards your pronunciation doesn't just help you sound more natural when you're speaking, it also helps a lot with comprehension. If you are more familiar with the sounds that Spanish speakers are making, they sound a whole lot less unintelligible to you when you are actually listening to other people speak. So paying close attention to the ways that Spanish and English differ in terms of pronunciation has a really big impact on your overall experience with Spanish. So in my opinion, it's worth focusing on at the beginning. The second common mistake is relying on one app for your whole learning experience, or potentially worse, relying on a whole bunch of different apps at once. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You decide you want to learn some Spanish, you download an app. Most people I talk to, it's Duolingo, and you do it for a few weeks or a few months, and then nothing. You still can't really converse with anybody or use the language or really understand it in any practical way. And there are some great things about apps like Duolingo and others, but they are not the whole picture. And generally they are terrible at helping you build functional conversational skills in the language. So if you have used them and you know 1,000 or 2,000 words, but you really can't string together a sentence, this might be why. It's because you need a more holistic approach to your learning. You can't just learn words in isolation with no relevance or connection to your own life or the other words in the language and expect to be able to have a conversation. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about this, I have a free course on my website at breakthroughspanish.com, and it's a 5-day challenge that you get by email every day. And on the first day, we talk a lot more about this particular aspect of learning, the whole strategy piece of it, and how you can learn more effectively and build solid motivation that'll keep you going for a long time. Third mistake is overthinking when you are trying to speak. A lot of people say, when am I going to be able to stop thinking in English or start thinking in Spanish when I'm trying to speak? The truth is, you probably already do think in Spanish. You just don't really realize it. For example, how do you say in Spanish, "Hi, how are you?" Hola, ¿cómo estás? If you've been learning Spanish for any time at all, it probably took you about 1/10 of a second to come up with "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" And that's because that phrase is automated for you. You've heard it so many times, it comes out fluently. That particular phrase comes out without you having to think about it. This is how the rest of your Spanish learning goes. You build skills little by little, phrase by phrase, and eventually you will be putting together sentences and conversations without having to think too much about what it is you're trying to say. But to actually get to that point, you have to do a few things. You have to, 1, be patient. You have to, 2, listen to as much Spanish as you possibly can. 3, you need to actually produce the language yourself, meaning put some sentences together on your own without the pressure of having somebody in front of you. And number 4, when you actually go to speak with someone, it's really important just to relax and let the words come out as best you can without trying to think about whether or not you are saying things correctly. So you need to just trust the work that you've put in ahead of time and let the words come out. Sometimes you're going to say dumb stuff. That's just a fact of life, pretty much unavoidable. But luckily, those things that you say turn into great learning experiences and help you improve your Spanish because they're very, very memorable. So if you're struggling to put sentences together, try taking a step back, not thinking so logically, and just letting it flow. Number 4, fourth mistake is translating colloquial phrases literally. In English, we have lots of expressions that we use so often that we sort of take them for granted, and we assume that in Spanish, they should work the same way. They should be structured the same way. We have things like, I'm looking forward to, or can I have XYZ? We look at expressions like this that we use so often, and we think that in Spanish they must be the same, but very often they are not. So if you find yourself translating expressions like those or other common colloquial ones directly into Spanish, take a pause and try to listen or look up how other native Spanish speakers say it. For example, you take can I have, the way that lots of English speakers order food in a restaurant. People say, can I have XYZ? And so when we go to speak Spanish, we learn that can I have literally is puedo tener XYZ. And we assume that, it's a polite, common way to say it in English. It probably is in Spanish too. In reality, it doesn't really work like that in Spanish. People make that kind of request differently. They say things like, para mí el ceviche, for me the ceviche, or nos puede traer dos cervezas, por favor. Can you bring us 2 beers, please, rather than can we have 2 beers, please. And this difference in structure is just a reality of the fact that they are 2 different languages, and so sometimes they work differently, and the things that you say in one don't quite sound right in the other. So pay close attention to the way that you hear native speakers saying things, and do your best to imitate them. Number 5 is not learning to react to what other people are saying. A big part of communication isn't just leading the conversation or saying stuff yourself. It is reacting to what other people are saying, engaging with them, listening actively. And if all you have up your sleeve is sí, no, and está bien, you are going to get bored really quickly with the conversations that you're having, and you're going to feel like a repetitive robot. So it can build your confidence a lot and help you have more fun conversations if you learn a few ways to react to people and react to the things that people are saying that are natural and common. So here are a few useful ways that you can react to people. Number 1, claro, claro, or claro que sí. This means sure or of course. ¿Quieres $100? Claro que sí. Number 2, verdad, true or truth. Dormir bien es importante, verdad. Number 3, para nada, at all or not at all. ¿Te gusta limpiar el baño? No, para nada. Number 4, en serio, seriously, or seriously. A mí me gusta limpiar el baño. En serio, qué raro. Number 5, me da lo mismo, or me da igual. I don't care, or doesn't matter to me. ¿Qué quieres hacer esta noche? Me da lo mismo, me da igual. If you have any questions or comments about these mistakes or any other mistakes that you yourself have encountered and have since gotten past, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. And if you want more tips to help you with your Spanish, consider subscribing. I put out videos just like this one as often as I can. And otherwise, thanks for watching.